Have you ever felt that really unmistakable kind of hollow feeling right in your chest?
Oh, yeah.
The No, it's like this physical shockwave, isn't it? It doesn't matter if it's a huge professional pitch that just bombed or maybe a dating app message that just vanished.
Or even just a social invite that never showed up.
That's like
Yes.
rejection. It's just this universal thing. And the moment it lands, I mean, it doesn't just sting. It sort of lights up these quiet, fragile parts of your heart you didn't even know were like exposed.
That moment, it's really a crucial test, isn't it? A test of your whole emotional operating system. Rejection works almost like a diagnostic scan.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, it instantly pulls up all your default defenses, your patterns. And look, we're not diving into this today to give you a grade or anything like that.
No, definitely not.
It's more about doing an honest, gentle self-check. Our mission today is really to look at your pattern, your mindset, and maybe the sophisticated ways you instinctively protect yourself when the world or, a person hands you a no.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. We're going to try and trace the whole emotional journey of rejection, right? From that first immediate impulse, that emotional armor going up, all the way through to hopefully long-term resilience and, well, growth. The goal is to figure out what's your brain doing in those first, 3 seconds?
Yeah, that micro reaction.
And how does that tiny reaction maybe set the stage for your macro future?
Good way to put it.
So let's start right there, at the point of impact. That very first thought that pops into your head after being turned down.
Right.
We kind of see a spectrum here in the research, don't we? On one end, you've got the, let's say, emotionally mature response. Something like, ouch, okay, that stings, but clearly wasn't the right fit.
Yeah.
Or maybe just not the right time.
It acknowledges the hurt, but crucially, it doesn't immediately internalize the blame. Right.
Exactly.
Hey.
But then, what happens on the other side?
Well, then almost instantly, the cognitive defense system kicks in. The energy just shifts. It goes from looking at the event out there to targeting the self in here. And that's often where the shame spiral can start. Oh, God, maybe I said the wrong thing. Or even that really deep, painful thought, I knew it. I just knew it. I'm just fundamentally not good enough.
Oof. Yeah. And I think one of the most common defenses we see, maybe the quickest one, is that knee-jerk dismissal.
Totally.
That fast, protective thing of, whatever, I didn't even care that much anyway, or PFT, their loss.
That dismissal, it's like armor being thrown up before the knife even finishes cutting, It
Yep.
instantly shields you from maybe feeling a deeper hurt by just devaluing the source of the rejection. And what's really interesting is the second you say you didn't care, you basically guarantee you never have to feel why you actually did care.
Okay. That makes sense. And that leads right into the next step, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How we handle the proof, the evidence.
Yeah.
Think about that rejection text message or the email saying, thanks but no thanks for the application, or maybe feedback from a job interview. What do you do with it?
Right. Do you handle it professionally? Accept the info? Maybe file it away? Learn from it?
Or do you find yourself just reading it over
Yeah.
and over and over again,
Yeah.
obsessively?
That obsessive rereading? Look, it's not always about seeking clarity. Often it's more like chasing certainty in a situation that's just inherently uncertain.
Like pulling the lever on a broken slot machine, hoping this time it explains why you lost.
Exactly. The mind just hates open loops. And the extremes here are, well, they're fascinating. Some people genuinely accept it and move on. But others, they might immediately hit delete.
Just erase it.
Yeah, trying to emotionally gaslight themselves almost, pretend it never happened. It's this attempt to just wipe a painful reality off the map.
Wow. Okay. So once that initial kind of emotional flash fire dies down a bit, what's the real cost? Does that sting actually affect our willingness to, get back out there, put ourselves on the line again?
Oh, absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, rejection acts as this really powerful predictor for future behavior. Well, the brain's #1 job is safety, right? And rejection signals danger, specifically social exclusion danger. It's primal.
So the instinct is to pull back.
Immediately. The tendency is to retreat. So the question for you listening is, how deep is your retreat? Some people, we see they're very likely to keep going. They genuinely see rejection as just part of the process, information,
Right, yeah.
just data, exactly. But others, they get hesitant, or they retreat completely. They'll only engage if someone else makes the first move.
Which brings up that bigger question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What is your actual relationship with emotional risk-taking?
Yeah.
Do you see vulnerability as like a necessary part of growth? Or do you have what one source called that locked gate mindset?
Explain the locked gate mindset.
It means on the surface, you seem open, friendly, maybe engaged, but subconsciously. You're keeping everyone at arm's length.
So you avoid emotional risks unless you're almost like 99% sure it's going to end well.
Yeah, you're basically choosing avoiding potential pain over potentially achieving a deeper connection.
Right. You prioritize safety above all else.
So when we talk about recovering from this stuff, the gold standard is described as being able to feel it, process it, and then move on. But that word process, it feels tricky.
How so?
Well, isn't there a danger that processing just turns into, like, toxic rumination? Just going over and over it. How do you tell the difference?
That's a really critical distinction. Processing means reflecting, right? Looking at your actions maybe, but separating them from your fundamental worth.
Okay.
Toxic rumination is replaying the moment endlessly, trying to mentally engineer a different outcome, and constantly beating yourself up about what you think you did wrong.
So processing is about insight. Rumination is about punishment.
Punishment, exactly. Seeking punishment.
Mhm.
And this often ties straight into our coping strategies and our need for validation. After a setback, how much do you lean on external affirmation to get steady again?
Yeah, people vary so much here. Some folks can really ground themselves internally. They feel the sting, sure, but they know their core worth isn't tied to that one outcome.
Right, maybe they need a quick chat with a trusted friend, just a little reassurance to recalibrate, and that's enough. But then you see the pattern where external validation is the only thing keeping the ship steady. If you constantly need people telling you, you're great, they were wrong, it's not you, then that rejection is going to hit so much harder.
Why? Because the internal foundation feels shaky.
Precisely. Your sense of inherent self-worth feels wobbly. So you feel kind of lost until someone else explicitly tells you you're okay, you have value.
Right. Okay, so this is where that initial rejection starts to
Yeah.
echo internally, shaping how we see ourselves long after the actual event is over.
Exactly. It doesn't just go away quietly, does it? It often becomes the yardstick we use to measure future success or failure.
And that internal echo, it really powerfully influences how we take in information specifically, compliments versus critique.
Oh, that's a big one. Ideally, we take both in stride, right? Learn from criticism, enjoy praise. But how many listeners will recognize that pattern of carrying like a leaky bucket for compliments?
Leaky bucket.
Yeah, all the praise, all the good stuff just falls right out. But the negative feedback, that sticks. It finds prime real estate in your mind.
So you forget 20 positive comments because that one critique seems to confirm your deepest fear.
Exactly that. And the flip side of that coin is the emotional off switch, doubting both compliments and criticism.
How does that work?
Well, if you can't trust any input, positive or negative, maybe because you're completely numb or just too defensive, you prevent hurt, but you also prevent growth.
It's safe, but stagnant.
Very safe, very stagnant. Yeah.
Let's bring this down to earth with a common scenario, something that often triggers this internal echo, boundaries.
Okay.
Let's say someone sets a really simple boundary. They just say, hey, I need a bit of space tonight, or sorry, I can't commit to that project right now. How do you respond?
This is such a profound test of your internal security, isn't it?
Yeah.
The secure response is basically, okay, got it. I respect that boundary. I'll give them space.
Because you recognize it's about their capacity, not your worth.
Exactly. It's not about you. But for so many people, a simple boundary like, I can't talk right now, gets automatically interpreted as active rejection.
They take it personally, instantly feel rejected, unwanted.
Yeah, they translate, I need an hour to myself, into the much more painful, I don't value you enough to spend time with you right now.
Wow. So it acts like a magnifying glass on that underlying insecurity that whispers maybe that you're only valuable when you're actively needed or wanted by others.
Precisely. And finally, let's talk duration. How long does the memory, the sting of that rejection stick around?
Right. The mature response, ideally, is you reflect for a little while, absorb any useful lesson, and then you move on.
Contrast that with having the rejection stick with you for months, maybe even longer, contaminating future interactions, future decisions.
Yeah, that's tough.
But perhaps the most challenging pattern we see is when the rejection is actively pushed away. You know, you consciously avoid thinking about it.
Like the I'm fine approach.
Yeah. Exactly. Only to have it kind of haunt you in quiet moments when you're trying to sleep, or maybe on your commute just staring out the window.
Ugh. That's like emotional baggage you're forced to carry exactly when you're trying to rest and recharge.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So, okay. After this whole cycle, the immediate sting, the behavioral retreat, that internal echo, what does it all mean for the future? How does one past no shape how you look at future opportunities?
Well, we see some pretty clear paths emerging here. The most resilient path is built on the knowledge that, okay, one no doesn't mean never.
Right.
This person is hopeful generally, but realistically so. They know rejection is part of the game. Maybe it's even a numbers game sometimes, and their core worth is stable regardless of the outcome.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the other paths?
On the other hand, you've got folks who start to assume every future opportunity will end the same way. They begin to expect more rejection.
Which probably leads to self-sabotage.
Right.
Approaching things with a failure mindset.
Often, yes. Or they might try the opposite tactic. Stay solely in the present moment. Try to avoid any thought about the future to prevent disappointment.
Which, ironically, limits their ability to actually build a meaningful future.
Exactly. You can't build if you're afraid to look ahead. And this brings us to sort of the synthesis of all this, the 4 paths of resilience. Based on how consistently these patterns show up, the source material frames it almost like an emotional maturity profile.
But these aren't permanent labels, are they?
Absolutely not. Think of them as maps for self-awareness, for potential growth.
Okay, so if you were listening and recognized very few of those patterns, the internalizing, the self-blame, the heavy avoidance, maybe landing in that low 0 to 10-point range, you fit the emotionally resilient profile.
That's right. You're likely inherently grounded, pretty mature in how you handle this stuff. You genuinely see no as just a necessary, often impersonal part of life.
You bounce back quickly.
You've probably got strong coping strategies integrated. Your self-worth feels solid, non-negotiable, really independent of what happens externally. Yeah, you might feel hurt, but you bounce back with remarkable speed.
Okay. Next up, the 11 to 18-point range. This is the gently growing profile.
Right. With this profile, you handle rejection reasonably well most of the time, but it definitely still stings.
So maybe you spend a day overthinking it before you fully shake it off.
Exactly. Or perhaps you find yourself relying just a little too much on reassurance from close friends to feel okay again.
Makes sense? So what's the growth edge here?
The core challenge is often self-compassion. You are secure, fundamentally, but you might forget to treat yourself with the same kindness you'd instantly give a friend in the same situation.
Moving from I should be fine to it's okay that I'm not totally fine right now, but I'll get through it.
Precisely. You need to really solidify that internal grounding so the external sting just fades faster.
Okay. Then we get into the 19 to 25 range. The sensitive but strong profile.
Yeah, for this group, rejection tends to stir up more persistent overthinking, maybe significant self-doubt, or you might find yourself frequently using that emotional off switch we talked about, just shutting down.
Go.
Now, this profile is crucial for reframing. If this is you, you're not weak, not at all. You're likely highly sensitive, and you're using coping mechanisms that were probably designed, consciously or not, to protect a very deeply felt sense of self.
So the focus needs to be where?
On recognizing that you might be carrying some unhealed wounds that deserve focused kindness, attention, maybe even support. You are strong enough to process the pain. You just might need better tools than self-blame or numbing out.
Got it. And finally, 26 points and above.
Yeah.
This is the tender and protecting profile.
Yes. For this group, rejection often feels highly destabilizing. Your protection mechanisms tend to be quite intense.
Like immediate withdrawal. Total emotional numbing.
Or intense self-blame that can really linger, sometimes for weeks or more.
Wow. So what's the message here?
The key message for this group has to be profound compassion. You are surviving the best way you currently know how. You're using tools that likely kept you safe at some point, maybe in childhood, maybe during other really painful experiences.
So the challenge isn't about just being more resilient.
It's often about finding a deeper sense of safety first.
Yeah.
Healing is absolutely possible, often with some external support, and achieving that peace, that internal stability, is completely deserved. It involves learning, maybe slowly, to trust that a no today doesn't automatically mean a no forever.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, the big takeaway seems to be handling rejection well isn't about never feeling hurt. That's impossible, right?
Completely impossible, and not even desirable, maybe.
Right. It's more about recognizing the sting, feeling that shockwave, and then actively choosing a more mature response. Sitting with the pain for a bit, but still choosing to move forward, and importantly, doing it with kindness towards yourself.
Beautifully put. And always remember, the outcome of some external event, some no, it never ever defines your internal worth. Sometimes, honestly, that no isn't an ending. It's not a judgment on you.
That's what.
It's simply a redirection,
Hmm.
maybe towards a path, professionally or personally, that you were actually meant to take all along. It might just be the world nudging you somewhere else.
That's a really powerful way to think about it. Okay, so we spent a lot of time today talking about those default protection mechanisms, pulling back, dismissing it, blaming yourself, distracting yourself.
The emotional armor.
Yeah, the armor. So here's something to think about. Consider your own default coping strategy. When you feel that sting and you deploy that familiar emotional armor, what's the real thing underneath? What's the fragile belief about yourself deep down that you are ultimately trying to protect?
That's definitely something worth mulling over.